fellow book lovers. This is going to be my February wrap-up video. I'm actually filming it March 1st, so as of right now I'm very much ahead of my previous works in terms of monthly wrap-up videos. This is going to be part 1. I read 11 books this month, and granted a lot of them are smaller books. I was actually kind of laughing. I've started tracking my reading using a spreadsheet that I stole from somebody, another booktuber. I'll mention that in another video because I can't remember who it was. But I read 11 books this month compared to 5 last month, but I actually read more pages last month than this month. So I read a lot of smaller books, but I pretty much enjoyed almost all of them, except one pretty major exclusion. But that will kind of be the big, I guess, shocking reveal. I'm purposely putting that one off for last. The first 4 books that I read were the first 4 in the series of unfortunate events, which are The Bad Beginning, The Reptile Room, The Wide Window, and The Miserable Mill. I'm pretty sure I'm jumping on this bandwagon after pretty much everyone has already left it. I know I'm a little bit late on this. I also know they're more like a children's series, but I really like the idea. My wife is a big fan, and they're also they're not super long books. They're all pretty short. So for those of y'all who don't know, the story follows Violet, Klaus, and Sonny Baudelaire, who are basically the children of these wealthy parents who suddenly die. And the story focuses on this madman named Count Olaf, who, if you've seen the movie gave him more of a comedic slant, just so it wouldn't terrify the living daylights out of every child that watched that movie. Count Olaf really is an evil character with a dark comedic side to him, but the story is him trying to get a hold of the Baudelaire fortune, and this ends up with him doing a lot of horrible things to the Baudelaire orphans, and each book kind of focuses on a different scenario. As far as ratings, I would give The Bad Beginning 4 stars, then I would give The Reptile Room and The Wide Window both 3 stars, and The Miserable Mill 4 stars. Mostly because I felt like the first 3 books were a little bit formulaic. They were still enjoyable, but the story kind of progressed the same way. The Miserable Mill actually, I mean, it's still very much formulaic because you know what's going to happen, but how that happened changed a little bit. You mix it up a little bit in The Miserable Mill. These are all very good books. They're all by Lemony Snicket, who's actually a pseudonym for an American writer. I cannot remember his name right now, but they're all very good. You know, like I said, if for some crazy reason you haven't read them, they're definitely worth, they're very funny. I listened to these on audiobook, and the first 2 were narrated by Tim Curry, which is fabulous. If you don't know who Tim Curry is, just go watch the old movie Clue with Christopher Lloyd and I think Madeline Kahn, if I'm not mistaken. But that'll tell you everything you need to know. He was phenomenal. But then on the 3rd book, the narrator switched to actually the author, Lemony Snicket. And I actually, as much as I love Tim Curry and as much as hearing Tim Curry narrate anything is entertaining, I liked Lemony Snicket as the narrator better. I followed that, and these aren't in really any particular order. I had so many, I'm kind of categorizing them. So the next book that I read, Tarkin by James Luceno. This, for those of y'all who don't know, Tarkin is one of the Emperor's right-hand men, and he dies in the 4th movie when the Death Star blows up. He was given command of the Death Star. So this book is basically giving him some backstory. I always feel it's really hard to do a book focusing on one of the characters in the film and do it well, mostly because there's no suspense. You know what that character's end result is for the most part. Like, you know Tarkin's going to survive long enough to be blown up on the Death Star. I like James Luceno. I did not like this book. Not that it was horrible. I was just expecting a lot. I had a couple people tell me it was like mind-blowingly incredible, and I normally very strongly trust their opinions, but I would very strongly disagree on this one. But I still gave it a 3 stars because it's Star Wars, and even though it wasn't what I was hoping it would be, it was still interesting backstory on a pretty famous character. I finally decided to get on the John Scalzi bandwagon with Old Man's War. The only thing that I'd been told about this book was that they've developed space travel and there's this army called the Colonial Defense Force that you have to be 75 to join up, and the story follows John Perry, who turns 75 and decides to join. And that is true. There's really a lot more to this story, though. I was very impressed with kind of the scope of the story, because in it's set obviously in the future, and there's been some sort of nuclear war between the United States and several countries. And this one company or conglomeration or corporation, however, whatever they are, kind of the CDF is all that they're known as, the Colonial Defense Force. They have harnessed space travel and somehow have access to all this technology that no one else on Earth can understand. So they're colonizing everything, but they're calling the shots 100%. They're only taking colonists from like poorer countries that oppose the United States, like Pakistan and India, I think, in the book. So the only way as an American that you can go into space is to wait to turn 25 and join the Colonial Defense Force. And the reason so many people do it is because there's rumors that they have the technology to basically make you young again, or they've discovered the fountain of youth or something. Anyways, I can't tell much more without giving some spoilers, but I really liked it. I liked how it was kind of going in a conspiracy theory route. I didn't like the end of this book actually focuses more on kind of a weird romantic entanglement, which is very unique. I'll give it that. He had to put a lot of thought into it. But I was still a little bit disappointed because I was hoping it would focus on the conspiracy theory angle, although there's still several more books for it to do that. So I'm very excited to continue on in the series with that. Gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars. And that concludes part 1. In part 2, I'm going to cover 3 non-fictions and 2 classics, so you can wait with bated breath for that video.